All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Sales Manager Academy podcast. As always, I'm your host, Omar, and we talk about leadership when it comes to the smaller retail locations, right? I'm not talking about big box retail. I'm not talking about anything like that. I'm talking about AV stores. I'm talking about appliance stores, wireless locations, furniture locations, things where we're really more of a SME, right? A subject matter expert. Our teams, or that's what we expect anyway. And we're talking about you as a leader and giving you the tips, the tricks, some of you might think they're hacks, but they're really not. They're leadership mindsets, they're leadership fundamentals to make sure that you can get your team up and running and be the top performers that they can actually be to help them be the best and to in turn turning you into a top-notch leader. And today, one of the biggest things I want to talk about is what it means when you, as a leader, especially when we're talking about area managers, district managers, regionals, okay? What it means when you walk into a location, what it means when you lead some type of conversation with your teams, and you're wondering why certain things don't happen. The first thing I want to touch on, and this has been something I've heard many times over, okay, is when an area manager, could be district, regional, area, it doesn't matter, when they go do store visits and the location is fundamentally understaffed, meaning they might have only one person open and close, but yet here come two or three of the area, district, regional personnel to visit this location, and they got a shitload of people in the store. Imagine as a customer going into one of these locations, you see that there's only one person that's working, and you see three people come in, and that person turns and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, those are my regional, my district managers, right? Or the district personnel. And those people don't want to assist or help nobody. What kind of experience does that leave those customers with? They might have the best experience with the people working at those locations. But if you as a leader are setting those expectations that, hey, whenever I come visit, I'm not going to do anything like that, you're on your own, how do you think your people feel, let alone the customers? It's a bad experience all the way around. And I guarantee you that if you're an owner operator and that is the kind of mindset those individuals have, that when they go to locations, they're not assisting, they're not doing shit, they're letting those people drown, and wonder why the numbers aren't being met, why it's such a high turnover rate with personnel. I mean, you gotta look in the mirror. You're not holding those people to the standards that you expect the rest of the team to be held to. You have to hold everybody up to command to the same standards. If you walk into a location, bar none, we're gonna assist anybody that's there. And then once it levels down, boom, we can go. We should know that looking at the location. I'm not gonna walk into a location to do a visit when I got one person and don't know where anybody else is at. Especially if I know because I'm looking at the schedule that this location is going to be understaffed today. What should have been done is like, hey, I'm going to coordinate with the other locations for you. I'm going to get you some coverage. We have a visit coming. We've been understaffed. We're hiring people, right? We're doing the interviews. We're just waiting for them to come on board and go through the training phase. In the meantime, we're going to pull, a couple of people to help at that location. You have to do what's right for the team, and that's going to help the market. It's going to help the location. It's going to help morale. Okay, so those are the big things to look at. So when you, as a regional, as an area, as a district manager, are doing those visits, you need to understand that it's not, oh, I'm just here and I'm strictly admin. No, I've seen plenty of organizations go under because they have shitty leaders in those roles. And the reason they're shitty is because the executive level also doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. They're not holding the people to those standards. So for you as an owner operator, as a C-suite exec, right? If you have multiple locations, you have to look at those leaders. You can't look at the bottom rung and be like, no, it's the employees, they're not getting it. No, it's not the employees. They're not getting the proper uh, help, assistance, support, training, guidance, mentorship, nothing. You have to focus on those and you set the example. But you also have to remember that as a leader, you can't say, do as I do, or do as I say, not as I do. Okay? You can't be like, well, I'm going to lead by example. Just watch what I do and that's it. And never follow up. It's like, no. Go through, train on the fundamentals, explain it. Guys, in sales, the people that do the best are neurodivergent people. Okay? It really is true. And part of the reason why is because we find, and I say that as we because yes, I am a self-diagnosed, right? Self-diagnosed, undiagnosed, whatever you want to say, okay? I have this thing where I do go through things and I find a system that works and I repeat that system, but that the interactions are different. So it gives me something that is both, I know it, and then also it's different every single time. It's not the same interaction over and over again. But yet I can see these spots where, okay, this is where we need to change things up a little bit. Let me do this. Okay. And the thing about this, okay, is that a lot of it is we need to understand why we do certain things. Once we understand the why, it makes it easier to get behind the actions. And once we are taught the actions, it's easy for us to be able to follow through. Remember, guys, I don't believe in motivating people and getting that to be the reason why behavior changes. I believe in training and developing people, giving them the ability, give them the actions so that they can get the reward, and then we can motivate. I'm knocking the mic up. That makes a bigger difference. But as a sales leader, you have to understand that. You can't be going around and then showcasing to your team that, hey, I'm a regional, I don't do this. No, you're there to set the example that, hey, guys, no matter what, we're going to assist these customers, we're going to get them taken care of, then we're going to do our things. Okay? Especially if we don't have coverage. If we have coverage, great. We'll leave the people that got the coverage and then we're going to do what we need to do and get that taken care of. But that's very, very important because then that also does carry weight with your people. Your sellers understand that you don't just talk the talk, you can walk it, right? That's the most important thing. You're building systems, and systems need that reassurance, but you also need to be able to look back and ensure that the system is working because systems do break, changes happen. So we have to update and change as they go along. So that's very, very important for you to understand, especially when you're moving up through the leadership roles. As a store manager, things are super easy. The store manager position, in my opinion, is one of the easiest roles because there's a lot less that you need to really worry about, especially in these sectors, okay, in these niche markets. Once you move up to an area role, a district role, a regional, there's a lot more responsibility that you have to take on. And it becomes easier to take on when you're focusing on the training and developing of your people. Because then you have one less thing, one of the biggest things less that you need to worry about, which is performance. You'll focus on the KPIs. I'm not saying that the performance is always going to bring the KPIs, but the performance is there, so the volume is coming through. So that when we need to focus on things, we can just focus on the small KPIs and improve those little by little, or as need be. That is where the difference is. But when you're stepping into these roles and you're not focusing on training and developing your team and you're demanding numbers, you might get a boost in numbers, but what you're going to notice is you're going to see a high rate of returns, cancellations, no pays, okay? Stuff that we don't get paid on. So yeah, the numbers went up, but also this other stuff went up. That means you're not going to be enrolled for much longer. But when you're focusing on training, the numbers may not come in that same 30-day period, but you're going to see an incremental growth. And then you're going to start to see a bigger change. You're going to start noticing that your team is performing well, morale's been boosted, churn is going down, so you have less employees leaving, right? You might have more referrals coming through the door. But then you also start noticing that customer base is happier. They're referring more people, they're doing more business. Baskets are closing at not only a higher clip, but at a higher amount, right? Those baskets are growing. And that's what you need to understand, that training and development of your people is the foundation for you as a sales leader when you're focusing on multiple locations. We've talked about it before, right? It's one of the things I always hit on, that your people need to understand their pay plan, not just know it. Some of you guys, a lot of you guys are on gross profit margin plans, okay, where you're paying off of GP, right? Could be net, could be gross. That's the difference for a lot of companies, okay? But you end up paying on that. Okay. Do your people truly understand what that means? To you, it might be, right, because you're working on the business. You've been in it for so long that you understand, hey, right, yeah, I'm going to do an AV system. I know that my basic entry level home theater system with a great experience for an entry level is going to bring me somewhere between $8,000 to $12,000. So I know that's the gross profit that I'm going to get paid on. You understand that. And you know what goes in it because you've been doing it for so long. But what about the new person coming in that has less than a year in the industry? How are they going to convert that knowledge into an understanding? Because all they're seeing is, okay, I have to hit, right, $50,000, $100,000 in the month to be able to earn this amount of payout. But what does that translate to them? What does that mean to them? And that's where the a difficulty level is in, because a lot of employees, a lot of people can't visualize that. So that's super important to break that down and focus on that on the training aspect. Because when you as a leader are doing your visits, you can talk about the experience. Okay, so how's the compensation? How's that? How's the compensation plan? You can talk about it. You can ask questions on it because compensation plans change, guys. We know the payouts from the vendors will change, from the manufacturers changes from time to time, spiffs and things like that. Okay, operational cost will vary, right? We know that. So yes, there's changes in compensation that are going to happen all the time, right? The less compensation changes throughout a year, the better it is at maintaining people, right? Because one thing that people need to understand, but they hate, is that change is constant. Change is going to come, but everybody hates it. So we got to stick that landing smoothly. We can't just jump in it and be like, okay, here it is. Break it in gently. Help them understand why the changes are happening. Because at the end of the day, guys, if people are in a sales role, they're not in sales just to be in sales, right? Yeah, some of them, like myself, may like that it's not going to be the boring routine day in and day out because it's the exact same thing I'm doing. There's going to be some change in those interactions. Those interactions are going to be individual and they're always going to be fresh, new interactions. But you still need to understand that knowing the why makes a huge difference in getting people to actually stick around, in getting them to perform, in getting them to do more than just like the basic of, okay, I'm just showing up and I'll sell what I can sell. That's not what we need. We need to be able to give them a roadmap. The training aspect helps that because then you can train them to focus on what they need to hit for themselves and you can help them develop that skill. Because, guys, you got to remember, we're asking them to do something different that they haven't done before, to think differently in ways they haven't before. And that takes time to develop. And you can help speed that process up through repetition, right? Skill practices, coaching sessions, role play sessions, coaching where they have to visualize the result. Because, guys, scientifically, it's been proven your brain cannot tell the difference between you actually doing something and you visualize yourself doing it. Your body takes it as the same. So that's super, super important. Okay. It's been something that's been time tested with athletes. And that's what we have to really focus on. So when we help them do the coaching sessions and they're visualizing themselves in those interactions where they're closing it, right? Remember, guys, I don't preach doing coaching sessions on that customer that you're going to see once a blue moon in a year, once a year. The fuck are you going to do training on that? That's not going to be the one that's going to come in. Even if they come in and you close it, that one interaction realistically is not going to make or break your year. It's not going to make or break your month, your quarter, your day. The realistic thing is focusing and training on the interactions that we see the most when they come in the door. That's what we need to focus on, not those trouble customers that come in once in a while. We need to focus on the interactions that we see on a constant basis. If you're in wireless and your location gets a bunch of bill payments, focus on training and coaching on how to convert bill payments into opportunities. If you live in an area and you work at a furniture location that gets a lot of customers that come in from apartments, once in a while we get homes, but you get a lot of people that are moving into apartments. Coach on how to be able to close that, right? And then when you get those people that are moving into a brand new home, great. You can help out even more, and that's going to be icing on the top. When you're talking about AV solutions, when you're talking about appliances, you need to understand, okay, what are the most common ones we're going to see? This. Okay. And then the ones that are not as common are going to be this. So that way they know, especially if they're brand new, if it's not a common interaction, I need you to grab one of us. And we're going to help you because it's going to take some time. It's going to be, not only a higher margin, but also we understand that it's going to be a longer time frame. It's not going to close today. Okay. I've done plenty of $30, $40, $50,000 deals for appliances plus. Okay. Not once have those closed on day one because there's a lot of nuance that goes to it. Unless they've done all their research beforehand and just hated the person that they were working with before. The majority of the time, it's okay, we got to see this. We got to talk to the builder. We got to get the specs. We got to make sure it's, this and that. Okay. Timelines have to, align. The builder's getting pushed back because we don't get paid until it gets delivered. Right? Because there's no point in it sitting in your warehouse. It's like, no, we need to deliver this as soon as possible. Right? So that's when we get paid. That's when that process happens. And that's what you need to understand as a leader. And that's what you have to help your team understand. But you have to do that through the coaching aspect. And your team has to understand that doesn't matter if you're an area manager, district manager, regional director, you're going to help your teams understand and you're going to help them, right? You're going to help them not only get better, but when you're doing visits, you're actually going to assist. Guys, that makes such a fucking difference to the customers and also to the teams because they understand, hey, this is what we do. And then we go from there. You can't be a shut-in. You show up to a store and then you just hide in the back not wanting to help. No. Trust me, you're going to have people run away from you as soon as possible. They're not going to be part of your team. They don't want to be part of your team. They don't feel that you're going to support them. Owner operators, if you have leaders like that in your organization, you need to get them replaced ASAP. That's it. There is no coming back from that. You let them get away with that for too long. You need actual people that are going to support the organization. Okay? Doesn't matter if they're friends or family. They have to be there to support the organization or for the organization to grow. Right? And if they're not helping your teams become better, that means they're affecting the livelihoods of a lot of individuals. Not just the employees, but also the clients and the customers because the experience that they're going to have. So guys, I'm going to leave it there. As a leader, you need to step your game up. You have to be not only the present leader that helps, but also understand when your presence doesn't need to be there. And that's going to be a conversation for a different day. Guys, I want to say thank you for stepping into another episode of the Sales Manager Academy podcast. Don't forget, hit that like and subscribe button. Follow me for more, and I'll catch you on the next one.